the KJ Methods YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Today, I'd like to discuss the differences between police power and eminent domain. If you recall, in the last several videos, I've been trying to address topics that students often get confused by. So here's another one. So what is the difference between police power and eminent domain? Well, initially, with police power, we use the acronym PEAT. The first thing that I want you to remember is it does not matter what type of property you own. You can own it as a fee simple absolute, but it is always going to have some sort of governmental pressure on that property. So you never own the property totally unencumbered. So we have what we call these public encumbrances, and we use the acronym PEAT for that. P standing for police power, E, eminent domain, T, taxation, and the last E would be a sheet. So let's look at them individually. Police power would be where the government is putting external pressure on your property. The word that I like to use there is control. They're attempting to control how you can either utilize your property or the things that you can do on your property. Eminent domain, however, is different. Eminent domain is a taking of your property. In other words, if the government has exercised its right under eminent domain, you will no longer have a property to control. You have no property at all. These are often confused by students, but they are distinctly different points. Additionally, we have the government's right to taxation. You probably remember that that would be a special assessment or ad valorem tax. And also we have a sheet where the government can take your property if there is no heirs to the property, and it will revert over to the state government. And when I say taking there, it's not the same type of taking as under eminent domain. So let's just look at police power and eminent domain in isolation. Under police power, we are going to be looking at things such as zoning, building codes, lead-based paint, wetlands, things of that nature, right? What can you do in this particular area, or what can't you do in this particular area? You are trying to use your property for this. No, you can't use it for that. Or you're trying to build a deck on your property. What are the codes that are going to be implicated there? Under police power, the thing that is most important is that the government is simply controlling your property. They are putting pressure on your property. They're saying what you can do and what you can't do. The key here on your test is that when the government is exercising its right under its police power, you are not entitled to compensation, even if you are harmed by the government's actions. So for example, you go and you want to put a deck on your property, and you go and you buy the materials for the deck, $10,000 in materials. Well, come to find out, the government, under its right to police power, changed the laws relating to the deck. And now the decking material is going to cost you $20,000. Are you able to sue the government in that case? And the answer would be no. So what you're looking for under police power is control and no compensation. Now let's look at eminent domain. Eminent domain would be where the government is taking your property. You no longer have your property, but we have some elements that must be in play. One, the property must be private. So it's private property, and we have to be taking the property. The government has to be taking the property for public use. And lastly, you must be what we call justly compensated. So there must be just compensation when the government wants to take your property. Now, with respect to just compensation, yeah, we're going to get an appraisal. We're going to make sure that you're getting the just compensation. But understand that once the government decides to take your property under eminent domain, There is no way that you can say you cannot take my property. The only argument that you're really going to have with the government is the compensation that you're going to be getting, not the taking itself. The other two issues that I've seen come up on test questions is, can the government take this property and then sell it to a private developer? Yes, they can do that as long as that private developer develops the property in the manner that it was taken for. And then the last thing, you may see this term on your test, condemnation. Condemnation. Well, what is the difference between eminent domain and condemnation? Well, eminent domain is the government's right to take the property. Condemnation is the procedure that they would use to take the property. It's splitting hairs for your purposes, but just know if you see eminent domain, condemnation, we're pretty much talking about the same thing. One is the right, one is the process. Okay, so that's it for today. Another very short video to kind of just help you with all of these confusing points and terms that students have difficulty with. Once again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Thank you so much for attending the KJ Methods YouTube channel. See you next time.